What's up, y'all? It's 10-3 time at Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope everything in your life is going well. Hope you're having a good holiday season. Hope everything is good in your world. I think this should be the December 26th edition. This is the first one that you've seen air today. It is, however, the fourth one recorded of the day. We will see how much gas is left in the tank. How much petrol do we have left? We actually have some fun stuff to discuss. We've been emptying out the mailbag this week, as again we do when everything's going on with, you know, people getting holidays and are you in, are you out, what's going on? People got to work this day. You want to be home with your family that day. So we've recorded things a little bit ahead of time. Hopefully nothing crazy has happened, because I got to tell you, Justin Wallace, if we are in here live on this day, then something else has happened and we have just wasted this episode and it goes into the ether. And
we don't want to do that.
No, we don't. Is my volume okay, by the way? I was asking to make sure I'm not a little bit too low as we go on today. I didn't want to do this like early on or late on, but early on, are we good? We're at a good level?
Sounds
just making sure we're good. Hey, is this thing on? Hey, fourth one of the day. We got it going. We do have a lot of mailbag stuff to get to today. Before we do that, though, there were a couple things as we are recording this on Tuesday that we did not, or they just happened again. Things happen. It's really funny how we go live from 3 to 4 and then things find their way into the program around, like, you know, news at 4:02, 4:03, you know, fun stuff like that. But a couple small things here. Jacoby Gillespie named U.S. BWA, that's the United States Basketball Writers Association, Oscar Robertson National Player of the Week. That's in addition to his co-SEC Player of the Week award. Kind of funny when you're named the National Player of the Week by one and the other one's like, you were the co-conference Player of the Week. Like you were good enough, bud, to get an award, but we don't know about this whole national award thing. You weren't even the best in your own conference by yourself. It's silly in this era of conferences that have 18 teams and 16 teams and 17 teams and all the different sizes they are. And, you know, it's the world that we live in now. But regardless, congratulations to him. Tennessee had a good week, and he was a big part of it. Played well in Tennessee's win over Louisville, the rout over the Cardinals, and then in Tennessee's really, really comfortable win over Gardner-Webb on Sunday. That would have been about, 5 days ago as you're listening to this. That game went about the way that it needed to go. Nothing really surprising out of that. Also, quickly, congratulations in order to Lady Vols softball pitcher Carlin Pickens, named by the Knoxville News-Sentinel as the Sports Person of the Year. She had a heck of a season, obviously, won lots of awards, rightfully so. There's actually a question about her coming up in the mailbag for later. So some good stuff there about Tennessee's star pitcher who throws the ball at about a gajillion miles an hour, and I don't know how anyone touches her. That's how her stuff on the mound, that kind of speed from that slot that close to you. I don't know how people touch it. Like I don't know how they get anywhere near it. But congratulations are in order to her. Justin, do you think you could go in there and get a hit against Carlin Pickens?
I can certainly look while you're talking.
No. I'm saying could you get a hit?
Oh, yeah.
Like in the box, you go in there with a bat. I mean, the softball. It's large. The size of it's large, but they're really close to you, and that thing comes in fast.
She had the record right for a while.
Yes.
Insane. No way.
You know, she throws it, I think, about the equivalent of what a Ben Joyce fastball is overhand. So, congratulations to her. And she, if the Lady Vols softball team could get the offense to kind of sync up with what they always do on the mound, they might have a chance. But you got to put all those things together, or you're just giving the award to Oklahoma, which happens almost every year. Anyway, just softball's become a sport where they play for 4 or 5 months. A lot of cool things happen, and then Oklahoma wins the national championship. That's kind of like that old saying in soccer where they used to say soccer's a game where you kick the ball around for a couple hours and then Germany wins on penalties. It's kind of what it is with Oklahoma with softball now. So that's some good news to get off to the show. Some good news for the Vols and Lady Vols this week. Let's get to these mailbag questions because we got some good stuff in here. Some of it's sports related, some of it not sports related. Again, we said, hey, do whatever you want. Send your questions there, and you always can. You can send questions every day if you want in there to Wes Rucker TBA on X/Twitter or Wes Rucker there on Blue Sky. We'll get to a couple of these questions at first because a couple of them are pretty good. This one from Riffle on Blue Sky's got a question. What NFL rules would you like the NCAA to adopt? Pass interference ball placement, the new kickoff rules, Which ones? That's a good question. I would say I actually really like the NFL's new kickoff rules. I did not know if I would or would not. I knew it would be safer, and anything that says that it's going to maybe bring more action into the game while also being safer. I mean, nothing is safe in football. It's football. Nothing you do out there is safe. It's every player out there could end your career. That's how football is. But I've enjoyed the new kickoff rules. I think they've added a new element to the game. They've spiced it up a little bit. I like it. As for the pass interference, I go back and forth on that one. You know, obviously in college it's just 15 yards or spot of the foul, automatic first down, unless it's in the end zone from inside the 15, in which case it goes down, you know, to the 1 yard line. But in NFL, it's spot foul unless it's shorter than 15 yards. And I go back and forth on this because I feel for defensive backs. It's just they always kind of get the short end of the stick on these rules. It's people like points, right? That's why you know points get people watching. Points are exciting. You know, even in other sports like in baseball, I love a good. I'm not bothered at all by a good old-fashioned National League style 2-1 baseball game. A lot of people would rather it be, you know, 13-12, and that's fine. There's room for both, but I understand why. I don't want to say casual in a bad way, but in a way a casual fan would enjoy it probably more with more points. And so, excuse me, the defenders often get the short end of the stick, and they can't touch guys, and it's really tough to play that position. So, and I think in college you should, if someone runs right by you, just tackle them. In the NFL, you can't really do that because, well, if it's a spot foul 40, 50 yards downfield, yeah, it's just the same as a completed catch, which I don't know exactly how you make that fair. I'm kind of okay with both rules. I don't think they necessarily have to be uniform in that way. It's no skin off my back either way. It's not a big deal, but I don't know. I mean, I think there's times where, you know, if it's a really slight pass interference and a ball may not have been caught anyway, and you're giving like 50 or 60 yards, I don't know. Like that's a heck of a punishment in a situation like that. So I don't know how I feel about that. What I will tell you though is slightly different. What rule I really would like, it's a rule that's still on the books and almost never called anymore, which is the catchable pass rule. The catchable pass rule to me is, do you remember when that was a thing? That's going to be like in a minute, like you know, people look at it like corded telephones. Like, remember when that was a thing? That's kind of what the catchable. Remember when you used to have to the patch used to have to be catchable for you to get the pass interference call? That's been the rule forever, but now it's like they've done away with that. They're like, well, you know, it's still a rule, but we're just not going to call it anymore. So that pass could have been catchable by maybe Shaquille O'Neal, maybe Manute Bol, but you know, anyone not 7 foot whatever, not catching that ball. But we'll go ahead and throw the flag anyway. Not a big fan of that. I think that's just a dumb thing to me. Another good question here on Blue Sky. What's the most fun lesser, air quotes, lesser UT sport and venue? It's a good question. I don't think you would consider softball a lesser sport at this point. I really don't think you would, in terms of that's a really nice stadium. They do a good job getting butts in the seats there. They have a good product. It's exciting. No, I mean, I wouldn't call that a lesser sport even at this point. It may not make as much money, but I wouldn't call it that. I mean, I don't know. I think the track and field situation is pretty interesting because I have a soft spot for that because I started my career when you're a freshman at a college newspaper, you're not walking in and getting like the primo assignments. You're not walking in and getting like a big beat. Especially when I was a freshman at the University of Tennessee at the Daily Beacon, there were a lot of really talented people there. People now at, you know, newspapers and websites and big companies all over the country. A lot of big names, people you read, people you see, people you hear, and they were older than me, and they had the good jobs, and so you know the big jobs, And so, you might get to go cover football practice or a football non-conference game, but, you kind of have to work your way into getting those primo spots, and you work your way up the chain by doing other sports. And my freshman year, I had a couple sports. I had track and field, which I had a lot of fun because that team won a national championship. And so I got to cover Justin Gatlin and Leonard Scott and all those guys, Rocky Danners, the pole vaulter. That team won a natty, and it was fun to see that team, because to this day, one of the most impressive things I've ever seen anyone do in person is watching Justin Gatlin run. And I know that, hey, there was the PD things that came out and all that later in his career. It is what it is. He hadn't failed any tests when I covered him, and it was a sight. Like, when you think, like, you cover a sport like football, basketball, even baseball with some of the really good base stealers, you see guys who are really fast. And, you're like, oh, I've seen a fast guy before. How exciting could it be? But then you watch the acceleration of an international Olympic level sprinter, and that kind of speed just blows your mind. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And also, I had that tennis beat as a freshman there, and I enjoyed covering that. I think, hey, put a ball or a stick anywhere out there and I'll watch it. And those guys were good. They were, I think, in the Final Four the year that I covered them. And they and Georgia had a pretty big rivalry then in tennis, and were going at each other, both national title contenders. It was good stuff, and there was a lot of emotion in college tennis, and it was really fun to watch all that. So that would be my answer there. And I think it's unfair for volleyball, because that's a really fun sport to watch, but they play a lot of times in the arena, which is just comically oversized. So it kind of takes away, from the ambiance, right? I mean, I don't care what you're doing. If there's like 10% or 20% stand capacity, you're like, it takes away from the feel of things. So another question here from Blue Sky. What's Tony Vitello's biggest challenge in San Francisco? Any idea when Posey and the team started talking to him? As for the latter question, I don't know the specifics on that, but obviously they had a manager there for a while, so I don't know if anything happened before then, but it certainly happened before the media got wind of it. That much I can tell you, that there were discussions, because when you're going in that direction, you're doing something that's such a sea change. It's so against the grain. You're doing a lot of homework on that. And so there were certainly talks with agents and representatives, and Tony Vitello's got a lot of friends, in the Major League Baseball community. A lot of people that respect him, people he respects, people he's worked with, people he knows. And that was always kind of in the back of his mind as a possibility. But, I think it's different when, like, an organization like the Giants is the one doing it. That there's a couple of them that just kind of historically have a little more weight than others. And the Giants, I just have always had a lot of respect for that organization, and they're not afraid to try things. And that's it was before it got reported, but not like a tremendous amount of time before that. There was just a lot of groundwork done on the front end. In terms of his biggest challenge, other than the obvious answer there would be, you're in the division with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That would be my first thought. And that's, the amount of money between what the Dodgers are spending and everyone else, the fact that they're getting pretty much anybody they want out of Japan right now too, on top of that, they have as significant advantage as maybe there exists in like major American sports right now, because a lot of the other leagues have a little bit more. There's salary caps, there's other things, and Major League Baseball, you got the luxury tax, but whatever. And they found a way to circumvent some of that stuff anyway. And they are really, really good. On top of being really, really wealthy, they're really, really smart. And they got a lot of good players, and they know how to develop players. And they're not just the Dodgers' biggest rival; they're the best organization in the game right now. And so that's going to be a challenge for him. Now, in terms of the obvious would be the Giants. So you talk about, well, what are the other challenges? I think there's a couple different ways to look at that. I think there's two pretty solid options for answers there. The first one would be, for me, Tony is such an emotional guy, and not in a bad way, dude. He it's mostly in a good way. Occasionally goes overboard, but his passion for the game is very real. It's not manufactured. It's not BS. It's him being him. But the way that college baseball just has so much more kind of emotion in it, it's a shorter sprint of a season. It's still a long slog compared to other sports because you're playing 50, 60 games, which you're not doing in other college sports. But 162 games in baseball is a grind. It is a grind. And how you get up on the horse every day to go, I mean, it's kind of been the I don't want to call it an open secret. I'm not sure if that's the best way to describe it. But for years, it was described in, baseball. People talk about, why are all these people taking amphetamines and stuff in baseball? Why are there all these PEDs or the uppers? And, what? I'm like, dude, they're playing 162 3+ hour games every year. Sometimes they're getting on a plane every 3 days and getting down and playing another game. Like, I'm not condoning it. Cheating's not cool. There's a reason that stuff's not legal. But, I mean, can we sit here and say you don't get it? Of course you get it. You don't condone it, but I get it. And that's, Tony Vitello is kind of his own energy drink in a lot of ways. And I think at the professional level, we'll see how that translates. Will he have to tone it down a bit? Will he get the Giants to live at Spinal Tap Volume 11 every day? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, he'll have Drew Gilbert there helping him, so maybe. But I think that would be a challenge for me. And then the second would be the very obvious man management as a first-time professional coach. Even in the NIL era, none of those guys at Tennessee were making more than Tony Vitello. Some of them are making good money now. None of them are making what Tony made. There was no question that the players, like, they could be frank with him, and they had discussions, and they would, it's not like they would never they would back sass, and he would allow some of it for them from the veteran players to a certain level on certain things. But at the end of the day, there was never a doubt he was the head coach, and what he said went. And there are a lot of talented players who got crossed with Tony Vitello, and they were no longer a part of the Tennessee baseball program. And that sort of managerial style or management style, that's a lot easier to get away with in college. Even this day and age with NIL stuff, it's different. And, guys can leave whenever they want, all those things. It's still different when you're walking into a major league situation where you're absolutely not the highest paid person in that room. And these guys are under contract. They might be under contract for longer than you are. You are the boss, you make the decisions, but the way you manage people, it's just a different dynamic. And I'm not saying that all the stuff that people have said for years with Tony Vitello, a lot of it you understand. You're like, even though that's not necessarily correct, I understand why you would say that. But one of the things that I don't think a lot of people, at least outside the state of Tennessee and other places that he's been, I think they don't understand is how smart of a baseball guy he is. It's not just getting bros and hitting the ball a billion feet all the time and throwing 105 miles an hour and flexing and wearing coats, wearing daddy hats and calling it a day. They are prepared and they are forward thinking. They do things sometimes a little bit over managing, I thought at times, but that's a really smart baseball guy. And I think that part of it translates just fine. That part with the technology and the scouting reports and all that stuff, I don't have any doubts about that part of it for him. I think that part of it, managing a game, all that, I don't have many issues there. And he'll have really good baseball people around him too. But in terms of, can you get the culture, can you get a similar kind of culture to what you had at Tennessee as a professional coach? That's the big question. And I do think, though, one thing that now we mentioned this, but I don't know how many other people have mentioned this over the years, is that I don't know if it's well known, but it should be that at this point that Tennessee under Vitello, they treated their guys like professional athletes in terms of a lot of their responsibilities. Like, obviously, you got to go to class, you got to do those things are non-negotiable. But in terms of like curfew, there was not a curfew. It was the bus is leaving at this time, be there. The park opens. I want you in this clubhouse, dressed, ready to go by this time. And if you're there, cool. If not, you ain't playing. And that's what professional people would do. Like they would do team functions and they would do other things and have post-game spreads and all that stuff. But it was basically, and Tennessee sells that experience as, we're getting you ready to be a pro, not just on the field, but off the field. Like, when teams go, a lot of teams, when they go to Omaha, for instance, the players have curfews at the College World Series, and you don't want guys going out and being out on the town. Tennessee, you'll just see the players walking around town. You'll see them walking around the village. You'll see them walking around downtown with their friends, with their parents, eating dinner, out there playing putt-putt or whatever, just whatever during the day, or out at night, going out and having dinner with their friends or their girlfriend, their families. And it's just like, no, I'm not going to say you have to be back here at 11 p.m. I'm going to say that you need to be at the park ready to go at 9 a.m. tomorrow, or the bus leaves here at 10:15 tomorrow. Be there, or you're not playing. And so that kind of stuff, like that's already how Tony Vitello rolls. So that's not going to be an adjustment. I mean, there are other things in terms of, the very last thing I'll say is Tony Vitello, he's his own guy in a lot of ways. And most of those ways are conducive to success. The question that I have, and I got no problem saying this out loud, I don't know that he's the absolute best at handling criticism. I think at times you could see him get just a little prickly here over stuff that wasn't that big of a deal. But his reaction would make it a bigger deal. Or because he says it all the time, he's a passionate, emotional Italian-American guy. He loves people who are loyal to him. You're either on his side or you're not. And if you are, you're getting nothing but love. If you're not, God be with you. That's just kind of how he is. And I don't know, like a lot of coaches, that it's not that he doesn't like, it's not necessarily that he doesn't like what the media do. It's that he doesn't, I think, understand what the media job is sometimes. And that, yes, there's criticism that comes with these things. Yes, there is. Questioning a decision that you made in a game is not calling you an idiot. It's saying you have to make a lot of decisions, and I'm not sure if that one was the right one at that time. That's all that is. And there were times where he would get upset, and I think he had a point about, certainly the Arkansas thing, Evan Russell, all that. Like, that was just way out of proportion, inappropriate, whatever. He had every right to be really, really mad at that one. But the whole, like, media as an extension of the program thing, that's something that certainly at the pro level is just not going to be there. That's not how that goes. And so I'm interested to see. That is one of the sixth largest media market, I think, in the country. San Francisco is. It's up there near the top 10, maybe even top 5. And you're going to get criticism, especially no matter what. They'll say, even if you're walking into a tough situation, you're a professional manager, so you're a major league manager, so you're going to get some criticism. I want to see kind of how he handles that, because he didn't, at first, no one was really paying attention to what they were doing in Tennessee. So they got good pretty quickly, but in that little couple years where they weren't, no one expected anything. So they weren't getting a lot of coverage or criticism. Then the coverage was just totally fawning, because it should have been, because they built a juggernaut out of what was garbage. And so you get used to living that side of it. Then, okay, now people go, okay, you keep getting here. When are you going to win this thing now? You know, should you have handled this correctly? Did you handle that correctly? What about this move, that move? Did you get too emotional here? Did you let things get the best of you? Why'd you take this guy off the mound? Yada, yada. And I don't know that he always handled that. He shouldn't. You just got to brush that stuff off your back. You can't let that stuff. If somebody crosses a line, have a go at them. If somebody says something you don't think is true, say you don't think it's true. That's fair. That's life. This is not just a one-way bully pulpit. We have ears too. We have eyes too. Say something back. That's fine. We can talk about it on, off the record, all that. But adjusting to that stuff in a market like San Francisco, which is not New York, it's not Philly, it's not Chicago, but it can. There's some talented media people over there that will hold you to the fire, and I kind of want to see how he reacts to that, and I hope. And I'm not saying that he won't handle it well. I think he probably will end up being okay there, but those three things I just mentioned are the concerns. Now, with all those things I just said, I think it's a great hire by the San Francisco Giants. You want to give that guy the keys? Yeah, I like that idea. It's a winner. It's a winner. And he gets guys to believe they can go knock down a mountain. And he knows the game. And he can motivate. And he's got connections that are going to help you hopefully make some transactions. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I really like about that. People like him. And a lot of people don't like him, and you know that, but a lot more people like him than you think they do, including a lot of people who didn't even play at Tennessee are like, I kind of like that guy. It'd be kind of fun to play for that guy. You know, and they can't say it publicly, certainly. But that's how they feel about him. And there are some who would not, not toss water on him if he were on fire. But there are a lot of people who, that's a nice way to put that. There are other people, though, who like him and they can't say it. Great question from Don England here on Blue Sky. What's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Great quote from one of the top, just absolute funniest movies of all time. Love that quote. Let's see. There was another couple ones on here from here. Another question from Blue Sky. How does NIL work for Carlin Pickens? Does she have an NIL agent? Does any other softball player? I don't know specifically if she has an agent, but I'm guessing she does because she's someone who does pretty well for herself, and she's a well-known athlete, and she absolutely is doing okay for herself. Like that, she's. I don't know about some of the other, athletes in other, non-high-profile sports, but she does well for herself. Why? Here's another good question. Why do you think Tennessee has had relative success in gridiron recruiting in this era? It seems to me Tennessee's punching above the weight with recruiting with football results. It's a fair question. I don't know that I'd say Tennessee's punching above its weight. I think Tennessee's punching about what you would expect or what not. It's a good job, but it is Tennessee, and Tennessee, despite the past, that decade that was miserable, Tennessee is a program that has resources, has facilities, has history, tradition. It's in a nice city, town/city. You can make Knoxville either a town or a city, whatever you want it to be. And now Tennessee's very competitive in the NIL space and has been from day one. So I don't know that you're sitting there saying they're punching above their weight. Now, they are consistently getting recruiting classes that are above where they're finishing in the regular season. But that doesn't mean I think they're punching above their weight. That means that they got to figure out how to get the thing together to put the puzzle together the right way to get to the next step. But they can recruit. The personality that you see from Josh Heupel, which that you see publicly, is boring. It just is. We laugh about this all the time on this program. He knows what he's doing. He's very intentional about it. He doesn't give anything. He's not going to go out there and give anything away to presser. He's just not. But behind the scenes, people like the guy. And Tennessee's got some pretty good recruiters on that staff too. And again, at the end of the day, Tennessee will pay you. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going above their weight. They're going at the weight they need to be going at if they want to have a chance to really get where they want to go. Because you've got to be able to stack classes, and you got to be able to retain the guys you want to retain through the portal and fortify through the portal. So easier said than done, but that's what you need to do. Another question: is there a system for doling out NIL money by sport or just white balancing? He said, I figure you're not a lawyer, but what are the odds if Aguilar wins eligibility? That's the second question. I'll answer that one second. I have no idea. I am not a lawyer, as you said. I'm not. It's a fair question, and could ask. I mean, obviously they got the injunction last year to be able to temporarily do away with all that. But in terms of a permanent ruling, I don't know. I've been honest from the beginning. I personally, I understand their situation and I hate it, but I don't think you should. I do think JUCO seasons should count. I do. But you know, hey, I'm not the judge. I'm not. You know, there could be many, and there are good legal arguments to the contrary about why it is with NIL resources and all those sorts of things. So I understand that argument. And I think eventually, to me, the solution's right here in plain sight and has been the whole time. 5 blanket years of eligibility. No red shirts unless they are medical, documented by third party. Not something where your own doctors can do it, something where there's like a commission of people who study these things and say, yes, this is an actual ACL tear, this required this, or this was, you know, you actually did break your leg here, you actually did need shoulder surgery, or in some situations, you had a legitimate family or mental crisis, and you know, it needs to be 5 years blanket. So that way it's not, if you play this, did you redshirt, you play this, you don't. I think that simplifies things. So I think that's eventually, and I think about it like this too, most kids now, and for years now, college for years was thought of as a 4-year thing for undergrad. It's mostly, for most people, it's 5 years now. It's just kind of changed that way. And I think colleges don't mind that because, hey, more tuition money. So I think if the average college student now is taking longer to get their undergraduate degree, then I have no problem with people having 5 seasons of eligibility. And I think that also gets you around, you know, do I play this guy just because, or I don't play him because that means he can't redshirt or yada, yada. Now this guy's going to, he's going to only play 3 games, or if he's benched and he doesn't like it, he's going to quit and say that he's preserving a redshirt season. So he's going to sit out the rest of the season and then go into the portal. It'll get rid of that stuff. I just think that's a way to simplify it. Now, if you say JUCO seasons don't count, then I think that's a potential loophole for some teams somewhere, smaller schools, to have bigger, older guys and maybe find a way to have success that they've sort of manufactured. Now, you would say, is that different from the Mormon missions? No, it's not. But I would say that in those Mormon missions or LDS missions, they're not playing while they're gone. They're not actually if they're playing ball, they're playing it with friends in a park. They're not in a weight room. They're not getting coached. They're not, you know, so for me, the answer is just 5 blanket seasons. Unless there's a legitimate third-party validated reason for a redshirt. Now, as for what will happen in that lawsuit, I don't know. I mean, I did not think Pavia would win the lawsuit last season, and he did, or last year. And so, hey, they won the injunction anyway, so they got to stay on. So maybe they'll win this one too. I don't know. We will see. But Tennessee would like to know that sooner than later. And then, is there a system for doling out NIL money by sport or just white balancing? There is revenue sharing. That's not directly, it's in a different pot from NIL, which is a lot of people got confused about Tony Vitello leaving and baseball NIL money. BS. That entire line of argument was BS. The revenue sharing was the discussion there. And even with that slight difference in revenue sharing, the NIL money on top of that was going to mean much more money for baseball players than the women's basketball players. So that is a manufactured BS, baloney, nonsense argument by egg people on social media, and it needs to go away. It is not accurate. But in terms of, there is a revenue sharing pot that goes to the athletic directors or athletic departments decide how much goes to each school or each sport. And then it's divided evenly and all that. So there is that way. So yes and no would be the answer there. A couple more here. We got some good ones, I think, that I skipped over accidentally. John D. Gossett on Twitter asked what's on Hank's list for Santa. I mentioned that one in, I believe, the Christmas Day or Christmas Eve show. I think Christmas Eve show maybe.
You definitely mentioned it in the Christmas one too.
Okay,
100%.
so because you were in here for that?
I was in here for that.
Okay, yes, then yes, it was mentioned in yesterday's episode, so we're good there. Got that one covered. SP8 Holly says, I want the latest picture of your corgi and your boy. I'll drop down one of those today. We'll have some holiday pictures for you. And maybe hint some other family news. Who knows? Let's see here. Question from Vols Do Shine on Twitter. And it's Dew like Mountain Dew. Get it? I like that because, where was Mountain Dew created?
Right here.
There you go.
Tennessee.
Justin Wallace knew that one, Knoxville, Tennessee. He said your go-to order at Gus's Deli, which, of course, for those of you who don't live in Knoxville, is the legendary delicatessen right there on the edge of Tennessee's campus there on 17th Street. There's lots of things I'll get, but the go-to, like standard order, bacon cheeseburger fries. That's bacon cheeseburger fries, and the beverage depends on what time of day it is what I will say on that one, because we are responsible workers while we're working.
While we're on the clock.
While we're on the clock. Although apparently, maybe also on call a little bit over the holidays. So it's I guess I got to be careful on consumption until 11 p.m. basically.
Within moderation.
Yeah. Might have to come in here and, dust on a shirt and go out there and do some stuff. But don't y'all go making any breaking news out there, okay? Don't you go out there and get arrested on Christmas break, guys. Don't you do it. Coaches, don't you go anywhere. No nonsense. No nasty stuff. Behave yourself, please. And those are the words of my wife, not me. Fun question here from Timothy Farley, who's Farley_Tim 61123 on Twitter. How can a team lose almost every coin flip in a season? This is really fun because Tennessee this season played 12 games, 2 went to overtime. So that was 14 coin tosses. Tennessee went 1-13 in coin tosses. And I don't have it, just when we Google it right now, because I used to have the answer, and then I wrote it down or tweeted it, and I've lost it since. But what are the odds of winning exactly one of 14 coin tosses? It is comically low, the percentage chance.
Taking a minute to load. Hold on.
You're fine. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh, it is 16,383 to 1.
And it's 0.01. So it's in terms of percentage points, that's the number I went with. It is hilarious how almost impossible that is to do.
I'll get that percentage here in a minute.
It is. I mean, you think about that. You're just calling heads or tails, or somebody else is calling heads or tails, and you go 1-13, which this maybe was a. This is the second time in 10 years that Tennessee's had a stretch where it was just horrible in coin tosses. To me, it's been one of the funniest stories of the season. It's 0.0 something.
There's a reason I'm not allowed to do math. I got a negative number.
How'd you get a negative number?
I did something extremely wrong to get to this point.
Hold on, I'll do it. Odds of winning. I'm good. This is good. This is what good television is. 1 of 14 coin tosses. Here we go. I think point 0.006. Roughly. Those are the chances mathematically of doing that. Which in your life will you ever see that again? That is remarkable. See, people talk about, hey, 8-4, disappointing season, all those things. Listen, guys, you're missing the big story here. The big story was Tennessee went 1-13 in coin tosses, which I don't even know how that happens. Well, I know how it happens. We watched it happen. But why it happened, I don't know. Actually, we know that too. It's because they lost 13 of 14 coin tosses. But the only thing I would say, few too many heads calls for my liking. I'm a tails never fails guy. Tails don't fail. Do you call heads or tails, Justin?
I think I'm usually a tails guy.
Good.
I'm going to be honest. I think it's usually tails.
Good. That's the correct answer. People say there's no right or wrong answers. Yes, there is. In this case, there is. And I would say a little more discipline to sticking to the cause of going with tails never fails. That would be my recommendation on that. And that was, honestly, one of the funniest plots of the season for me. There was a time, I think, I forget what year it was exactly, where it may have been one of the years where Majit was the captain a lot and just kept losing, just taking L after L on coin tosses. I think that was it. We got a couple more here. Let's see. Question from, here's a good Twitter name, Big Booty _TD. Big Booty TD. So is that the equivalent of like a big guy touchdown? Like when a defensive line, the fat guy touchdown, the lineman gets the ball, goes downfield? His question was, he's talking about Alex Golesh, who's now the former Tennessee offensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach at Auburn, went from USF to Auburn here in the offseason. He said, why did Alex Golesh hire Tim Banks to coach safeties after seeing how atrocious Tennessee safeties were last year? I think it's easy to kind of look at things only through the prism of right here, right now. And I understand what have you done for me lately as a concept. I understand that sports and life often operates this way. But Tim Banks has been a football coach for a long time and has done a lot of good things as a football coach. Just last year, in 2024, he was the finalist for the Broyles Award for like the assistant coach of the year in college football. You don't just, like, he didn't get that award, almost get that award, come home, just start just mainlining stupid pills, and then forget how to coach the game. Had a bad year. And there were a lot of things for Tennessee's defense this season that went into things going the way they did. Should it have been better? Yes. Were there any excuses for why it was as bad as it was? Yes. Does that mean it should have been as bad as it was? No. There were understandable reasons why it wasn't great. Many of them. We've talked about all of them. I don't think you look at someone's career, whatever it is, 20 years in the business, 20 plus years of being a coach, and you have one of the best years of your career, then followed by one of the worst. You didn't just get dumb. You had a bad year. You didn't put the puzzle together the right way. You got some bad breaks and you didn't handle them well. All right. And it's not just him, and it's not just the safeties. The safeties are the last line of defense, so they get any mistake you make there, everybody can see. That's the difference in playing like defensive line and like safety. If a defensive lineman makes a mistake, well, a lot of times you got linebackers and corners and safeties to go clean that up, right? If you are a safety and you make a mistake, bro, it's going the other way to the end zone. Or it's a big play. And so your mistakes get absolutely maximized there. And that is why coaches love older guys in those positions usually. They can trust them. They think they can trust them. Well, Tennessee safeties did not have a great year. They just didn't. Very few guys on the defense had a great year. But even like some of the injuries up front don't help with that. There's a lot that goes into that. If I were, in Alex Golish's situation, and I needed a safeties coach and Tim Banks was on the market, I would have no problem doing that. Maybe things didn't go great last season as a defensive coordinator, but you're not asking him to do that. You're asking him to come coach your safeties. I think he's had a lot of success doing that. I think he's a good football coach. I hope he does well. I think he's going to get paid. This season he got paid a lot of money to put a not very good product on the field. So I'm not sitting here defending the man's honor. You get criticism, but also you get paid. So he's fine. Would I rather live in Knoxville or Auburn? Knoxville. But Auburn's not the worst place in the world. So whatever. He'll be fine. They're all just coaching football 29 hours a day anyway. So it doesn't matter. Maybe for the family and kids it does. But I think Tim Banks is a good football coach. I don't think – I understand why Tennessee did what it did, and I think that was the right move for Tennessee at the time. I don't think that means he's a terrible football coach. I just don't. That's all I have to say about that. Question here from Ed Helinski. What should Santa bring the Vols athletic program? Well, if he could bring him a Final Four appearance, that would be nice, considering that the Tennessee basketball teams never had a Final Four in its history, which to me is one of the wildest stats in college sports. I'm not saying Tennessee basketball on the men's side is like a top 5 or top 10 all-time program. It's not. But it's absolutely, there are so many programs significantly worse than Tennessee that have been to at least one, if not multiple, Final Fours. It's a weird, weird deal. And that's why every time people say, well, Rick Barnes has only been to one Final Four despite all those wins, and my response would be, true, Rick Barnes should have been to more Final Fours. But he's been to more than Tennessee. Tennessee's at none. Now, he's been the coach for a decade, but still. Right now, the Tennessee men's basketball team is in the most successful stretch of its history. 3 Elite Eights all time, 2 in the past 2 years. You can complain, sure, that's fine. Say it all the time. You do you, boo-boo. You do your thing. You want to be upset, that's fine. You want expectations, have expectations. Tennessee has the resources, the facilities, and the fan base to be a titan in men's basketball. It does. It has the ability to be an absolutely top-level program. But it's never been to a Final Four. It keeps getting closer and closer, but it hasn't been. And, Bruce Pearl, everybody knows what kind of basketball coach that is. He didn't get the one at Tennessee. So it's not – at some point in my lifetime, that is going to happen. I don't know when. And I'll tell you this much, I'm probably not predicting it when it happens. Because at this point, you would never go broke, historically, betting against Tennessee making the Final Four men's basketball. You'd be retired. You'd have your own continent. But that would be the first thing I would say. That program, that athletic department, and that men's basketball program specifically, and that coaching staff has earned going to that stage. And it will happen. I don't know when, but it will happen. And who knows? Maybe it could be this year. I don't know. I think this is the first time in a couple years that I think a Tennessee team, a men's team, could be significantly better by the end of the season than it is going into it, which has been kind of the opposite of what's happened at times in the past decade or so, where they've peaked a little early maybe, and then other teams have made adjustments and gotten breaks and gotten healthy, and Tennessee didn't, and that's the way they went. But I mean, I watched that. I've covered all those games. They're right there. They're on the door. That would be the first thing. Number two, I suppose the easiest answer would be a sack full of money for NIL. Because if we're going to sit here as adults and be honest with each other, let's be honest. That's what's going to make the difference right now. Everywhere. Now, it might not guarantee you anything in terms of results. It absolutely guarantees you a better chance to have good results. And look at that Ohio State team last season. Best team money could buy. Look what it did by the end of the year. Right? Now, you look at right now, Kentucky men's basketball, a little up and down, we'll see. But right now, I don't know if they're getting their investment right now. Maybe by the end of the year they will. But if you go back and look, and these figures are always fluid or subject to debate because it's not like we're seeing hard evidence on paper, like a line item budget saying this is exactly what it is. But in terms of what we've, as an industry, projected, like the top 10 teams or top 8 teams this season that were estimated NIL expenditures, I think like 5 or 6 of them were in the playoff. And that's, you might call that a coincidence. I would call it one heck of a coincidence. Texas Tech went out and bought a playoff team. Bought one. Are they complaining? If they are, I haven't heard it. And you know what? Like, people are, it's like if you, you walk, you're like at a party or something and you see one of your friends who's really not that good looking, but he's got a great job. He's a nice guy, funny guy, smart guy, makes a lot of money, really good dude. He ain't a looker, all right? And he just shows up with a 10, an absolute dime. And you go, he bought that. Winning personality, I get it. But bro, if you're making barely a living wage, you're not, that's not working out like that for you. And would that be true? Maybe. Would he care? Probably not. Probably not. Call that what it is. It's okay to say, like, does it cheapen it at all if you bought it? I don't know. I say, let the losers discuss that. That would be my suggestion. Go buy yourself a title and let the losers complain about it. Let the broke losers complain about it. They're not breaking rules. There used to be a time and place where if you were buying championships, you were absolutely breaking the rules to do it. Not now. Not now. Do you think, does it feel more authentic if, like, you really recruit these guys out of high school, you develop them, you get some 3 stars, you turn them into 5 stars by the end of their career. They're all these good, humble guys who didn't just come for the paycheck. They believed in the cause. And yeah, are those better stories? Yes. Do you as a fan feel extra good in those moments? Yes. Should you care if you win a title by buying it? No. And should you care what anybody else says about that? No. It's not against the rules. It's not. And honestly, it's like, it'd be like you're someone like Tiger Woods and you can hit the ball 300 million yards off the tee. But you don't use your driver because you feel bad about it. So you go tee off with a 3-wood or a 3-iron or a hybrid just because, well, I feel bad about how strong I am. So I want to make this a little more fair. You know what? I'm just going to play with the 7-iron. I'll even putt with the 7-iron just because I think that's more fair. No, You don't do that. That's not how this works. Pull every lever you have. Use every advantage you have. If that's geography, because you're in that base for recruiting, use it. If that's you have one of the best coaches in the sport, happens to be someone who went to your university and loves it and wants to live there, great. Hire him. Hire her. Is it because somebody else got in trouble somewhere else or whatever and got a second chance with you? Okay, that's fine. Is it because you went out and bought a championship team? Maybe. Don't care. I would love for the Chicago Cubs to actually spend the money they have. They don't do it. They could spend as much as anybody. They just don't do it. Would I care if they won a title by doing that? No. Think Dodgers fans care? Think Yankees fans care? No, they don't. So, yes, I would say a men's basketball Final Four would be number one on the list. And number two, the biggest bag of money, just stuff it. And really, you don't even need physical money anymore. Just direct deposit it. Use crypto. Don't trace it. I don't care. I don't have crypto, but if you do, that's cool. Whatever. I'm not judging. Finances. Do it. Give them bars of gold. I don't care. You shouldn't care either. It's, man, you think like, let's say like Miami went on and won the title because they went out and bought Carson Beck or something. Not that he's played that well, but you know what I mean. Would they feel bad? No. Don't let people make you feel guilty because you have an advantage. You shouldn't feel bad about that. You should use it. It's disrespectful to the game if you don't pull every lever you have. That's what I say. And if you don't like the rules, change the rules. That's also what I say. And what else I will say is happy holidays to all of you. Hope your Christmas was good. Hope you're safe. If you're already home, that's good. If not, if you're going back later, be safe. Be very safe. Take care of yourself. Don't be out there drinking and driving. Be cool with each other. If you're waiting in line at a toy store to bring something back because your kid's going crazy, try to have some patience. Be good to each other, please. It's the holiday season. Spread the love. Justin, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
And unless there's big breaking news, we'll see y'all in about 71 hours because we do math here. 71 hours.